What is up, Flyover family? Welcome to the 15th episode of the OSG Grind Show. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, including the first 10 days of training camp, also the first preseason game versus the Cincinnati Bengals, some raised and lowered stocks, and so much more. So without further ado, let's just fly on into it.
Hurts looking deep, not there. Now it's going to flow up for Barkley, who hangs on, falling backwards down to the floor.
Hurts just gets out of the pocket with clear vision.
And makes a huge play. Now the Eagles get it back. We're going to run some clock, or maybe throw the dagger. Hurts going deep for it all. Devontae Smith, he has got it.
Gabe Brown coming across the field, uncovered. Hurts finds him with a nice throw right in front of him. 1 foot in front of his numbers. Bolton, the closest guy in coverage. He's not keeping up with the speedster.
The following episode is owned and presented by Philly Flyover Network. Enjoy responsibly.
So, from what I've seen so far, I gotta say, Jalix Hunt is definitely having a pretty dominant camp and whatnot, coming from an improvement standpoint, considering the fact that last year, obviously, he was a third-round pick. He was a rookie. But this year, he's definitely coming in strong and things of that nature, and that's what you want to see from a second-year player. So, definitely exciting there. He's always been in the backfield and things of that nature. Even looked pretty good. Versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I do know they had a bad O-line and things of that nature, but we'll get to that here in a second. Jahad Campbell, he's flashing a lot in my opinion. He's been pretty good in coverage, showcasing his timing in the blitz, showcasing his tackling ability, and his overall athleticism, and things of that nature. We also seen a bunch of posts of him hitting Dallas Goedert or however the case. Pretty sure it at least happened twice or however the case, but that's definitely good to see, especially given the fact that, he's gotten healthy and on the field a lot faster than initially anticipated, so definitely pretty cool there. I know Dallas Goedert, he's also had a pretty strong camp. Jalen Hurts has been targeting him early and often throughout camp, and then even continuing on. So, Dallas Goedert's continuing to have a strong camp. So it's not just he had a good start to camp, but no, he's having a good camp so far. So that's definitely a good thing to see there. And I also thought it was pretty cool that Ty Robinson is starting to show some improvement. He did struggle in a first team rep, but let's be honest, he is like a 4th, 5th round pick, something like that. But a day or so later, however the case, he got a sack versus the third team offensive line. It's practice, yes, that's completely true. Yes, it's versus the third team, that's absolutely true. But it is something. He's learning how to shed blockers and how to get past higher quality offensive linemen. He's showing work ethic, determination, and raw athletic power and burst. So that's definitely really cool to see there. Joshua Uche and Azeez Ojulari are also having pretty good camp, flashing at certain points, making plays and getting to the backfield and things of that nature. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are doing their things. Quinyon in particular, though, he's learning how to travel to both sides so teams can't hide their good receivers on the other side. That will be very crucial this year. And like I said, he is doing well so far. He has 2 interceptions and things of that nature. Looked pretty good at the open practice the other day, and things of that nature. So, the second-year rookie is definitely trending upwards, even, beyond last year. Half case, he had a great rookie year and things of that nature, but he's still improving. So, definitely exciting there. And again, I do think that the 2 interceptions do show some sort of ball skill improvement to some extent. I'm not saying he's this guy or that guy or bringing up other names, but he himself has shown some sort of ball skill improvement. Cooper DeJean, he's been playing safety in the base look, and Fangio said that he's doing it well. And things of that nature, because on a play that we struggled to diagnose and stop last year, he stopped it in practice and things of that nature. And Fangio complimented him, saying that it looked like he has been playing it for all his life and things of that nature. So definitely cool there. But in terms of the offense, I'm seeing a fair share of situational football being practiced and just seeing what they got overall in terms of depth and new guys or however the case. But from what I've seen so far in training camp, specifically just training camp and practices, I do feel pretty good about our team in depth so far, other than a couple spots that I will get to here in a bit. Next up, we're going to talk about the first preseason game versus the Bengals. In my opinion, here's my biggest takeaways. The Bengals did play their starters most of the first quarter, if not the entire first quarter. Ty Robinson appeared to be a menace the whole game. Got a couple pressures, got a sack, and things of that nature. I do know the Bengals have a horrible O-line. I recognize that. I'm not blind to that. And I do recognize it was a preseason game. I understand that. That's all true. But to see him deliver in some sort of capacity and in some sort of game action with the clock hitting 0 at some point, that I mean, it probably gave me the loudest reason, the biggest reason to cheer loud or however the case. Because I got to tell you, that was the loudest I've ever cheered for a preseason game. Again, it's just a preseason game. I'm not comparing him to any all-time greats or however the case, but he is improving his game and is improving his stock and things of that nature. So, and I think it is of note since he is a later round pick and a rookie. Tanner McKee, I thought he also put on a pretty good show. He was accurate. He was getting the ball out of there fast. He was decisive. He had like 250 plus yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a brotherly shove touchdown. Shout out to Darius Cooper and Jahan Dotson. They were balling out, getting open and things of that nature, making tough catches and things of that nature. So, like I said, it was the Bengals. It was the preseason. Those are both true. You know what I'm saying? But Darius Cooper and Jahan Dotson do deserve some sort of credit and things of that nature, considering they're younger players. So, Keely Ringo, he definitely has to step up and things of that nature. Defensively, in my opinion, that's the biggest thing that stuck out to me. Keely Ringo stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm not giving up on him. Never too late for anybody of any position to improve. I'm a firm believer in that. But as of right now, he looks horrible. He looks garbage. And so does Dory Jackson. Hopefully, Jacorian Bennett can get better at tackling and whatnot, and stay healthy, because as of now, after doing more digging and doing more research, I'm kind of worried about him, I'm not going to lie. Because he has had back-to-back years of shoulder injuries in the NFL, not to mention, those were his first 2 years in the NFL at that. So, hopefully, the cornerback 2 situation can get fixed, because I don't think, the answer is on the team. So, but like I said, I trust Fangio, so hopefully I'm wrong, and I'll accept that. Jahad Campbell, he flashed here and there in the game and things of that nature. A.J. Dillon actually impressed me in things of that nature. Like his catching ability, his toughness to bring down and things of that nature. I mean, he looks pretty healthy. I'm by no means a doctor. I'm not in any way trying to diagnose or have the case, but he looked pretty solid. If he can keep it up, I do not see how he's not running back 2. I just don't see how that's not the case. Kind of just like to sum it up or however the case, tackling as a whole or however the case, in terms of the younger guys and the depth pieces, definitely has to improve and things of that nature, which I'm sure it will. I'm not too worried about it. But main thing I am worried about is Keely Ringo and the cornerback 2 situation, which we'll get to here in a second. But the offense, while it was vanilla, I think they still looked pretty good and things of that nature. Like I said, McKee was pretty sharp. He was accurate. Guys were getting open, particularly Darius Cooper and Jahan Dotson. Like I said, Johnny Wilson also had his moments respectively, and things of that nature. That's just what stuck out in my opinion in the game. Let me know what you guys thought about the game as a whole, or if anything stuck out to you, or if I missed something about training camp, or however the case thus far. So, and I will reply as soon as I can. So next up, a few players did raise and lower their stocks. Here's my list and things of that nature. So first up with stock up, I got Jalix Hunt. He's been in reports or clips almost daily. Moro Ojimo, he's been getting sacks almost daily. He's been in the backfield, pretty much every day, every practice more rather. But Ty Robinson, he did struggle in one rep or however the case versus the first team, but the preseason game sack and the couple of pressures, and obviously the one in practice or however the case, that does lead me to believe that he is learning and things of that nature. So I'll definitely, keeping an eye on that. Jod Campbell, like I said, obviously he's a rookie and things of that nature. The main reason why I say is because he was available a lot faster than what was initially expected and anticipated. And obviously, we've been hearing his name every single day during camp, just like Zach Bond last year. But yeah, A.J. Dillon, like I said, he also really, really impressed me. I thought he raised his stock, or however the case. I do know it's versus a team that doesn't have that good of a defense. They can't stop the run. I understand that, but in terms of taking contact, or however the case, that there was, at least one decent test where there was like 3 or 4 guys on him, or however the case. He got a couple more yards. It was pretty cool to see. Regardless, that's still 3 or 4 guys trying to tackle him, and him still getting a couple yards. So if he can keep that up, or however the case, like I said, I do not see how he's not running back too. So at the very least, looking like a solid pickup. Jordan Davis, he came in absolutely phenomenal shape, so that itself raised his stock and things of that nature. But also, we've been hearing stuff about him, from here and there, from camp and things of that nature. Looked pretty good in the open practice. Same thing with Jalen Carter. But Jalen Carter's Jalen Carter, so. But no offense to him. Quinion and Coop, or however the case, they're both being asked to do more. In Coop's case, he's playing safety in the base look. And in Quinion's case, he's learning to travel to both sides, like we said earlier. Neither are complaining and whatnot, and Vic spoke highly of him, like I said, or however the case. Vic Fangio said of Cooper, however, that he diagnosed the play and things of that nature, and it looks like he's been playing safety all his life. And then he said that Quinion's having a good camp and things of that nature and doing what they ask of him at a high level. So, obviously the second year guys, I do think they raised their stock, or however the case, coming into this year. I do think that they're going to be noticeably better than what they were last year, and even then, last year they were great. Next up, Max and Hook. I don't think this is really on anybody's list, or however, but I did see some, physicality there. I did see some play recognition, some football IQ and things of that nature, particularly in display versus the Bengals and things of that nature. His willingness to tackle, his ability to actually make the tackle and bring the person down. So, hopefully he makes the 53-man roster, and if he does, I'd be pretty excited about his future with the Philadelphia Eagles. So. And like I said, Tanner McCannon, he balled out. 250 plus yards, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 by brotherly shove and things of that nature. And he did do it against first-team defensive backs. So yeah, and he's also had a really strong camp thus far. So him showing his growth and things of that nature. I do think that did raise his stock. Will Shipley, he did look great in the game and whatnot. Haven't heard much about him in camp, but obviously it's practice, so I understand that. The more physical positions, for the most part, you can really hit him unless they're, like that good, like generational or however the case, or unless they're just a big name. But either way, Trevor Keegan, he looked pretty decent taking snaps at center. And things of that nature, so I do think that kind of raised his stock. I do know that's not the greatest defensive line of all time. I know it's not the greatest defense and things of that nature, but it is more NFL experience for the second year NFL sophomore, however the case, for our Eagles, obviously. Stock down, in terms of the guys that I think, in my personal opinion, that lowered their stocks. Keely Ringo, like I said earlier, I'm not giving up on him, but he looks absolutely horrible. I haven't heard anything good about him coming out of training camp and things of that nature, or seen anything good in the preseason game. We definitely have a tougher schedule than last year and things of that nature, but as of now, it looks like a liability and he has to step up big time. Kind of same thing with Adoree Jackson. Not really much else to say. And after doing research, or however the case, I gotta say Jacorian Bennett. Because, he had like a 29.2% missed tackle rate. And like I said earlier, he's, missed time, or however the case, in both of his NFL seasons thus far due to shoulder injuries, which could also impact the tackling. So I just don't see it. But either way, we didn't really lose much to get him. So it's not like, oh, dang, we got fleeced. But low risk, high reward type of move, or however. But I don't know. So next up, in my opinion, our biggest needs at this particular point in time would probably have to be cornerback 2, due to the fact that Quinion is only one person and he's only going to play, both sides, or however the case, situationally and on a game-to-game basis. So, and even then, there are teams with multiple good wide receivers, so it's not a shot at him, or however the case may be, such as the Rams, Bengals, Lions, obviously us, or however the case, but he won't actually have to go up against us, in an actual game. So, but yeah, Dolphins, Falcons, Vikings, Bucks, Seahawks, Cowboys. They all have two good receivers. Two good receivers doesn't win your Super Bowl or however the case, but it does make it that much tougher to stop or however the case. And if you have a straight up liability, which Keely Ringo and Adore Jackson kind of look to be right now, then it's not very good. But yeah, and obviously, in my opinion, I think we just got to put Cooper DeJean out there. However the case, it's our best shot. And then put Reed Blankenship at safety. That's probably the best shot without making a move or however the case. But either way, like I said, I trust Fangio. That's just, what it's looking like, at least from the outside in. I don't have all the access to the, training camp or however the case. I haven't seen every single second. A lot of it's just reports and, small, little clips or however the case. And, just being completely honest, I don't have access to every microscopic thing, But from what I'm able to see, these are my takes and, this is what I'm able to point out. But yeah, and if it does come time to make a move, Asante Samuel, Stephon Gilmore, Rasul Douglas, Mike Hilton, Kendall Fuller, Byron Murphy, Carlton Davis. But I think either way, I don't think, how he will slack on it or however the case. I think at the very least he'll patch it. If he can't find that somewhat of a permanent fix or however the case, I think at the very least he'll patch it. At the very least. But officially though, Coop's only going to play safety in the base look. So, in that case, to that end, maybe it's just a backup or however the case, because you never know what could happen week to week. It's a 17-week season, 18 weeks if you include the bye week or however the case, since technically we don't play that week. But yeah, so maybe, it might be time to sign Justin Simmons, George Odom, Von Bell, Jordan Poyer, Jordan Mills, or somebody, because, I think Makuba needs more time. He's missed a little bit of time with training camp and things of that nature. And speaking of missing time, I know Jalen Carter missed a few with injury, with shoulder injury or however the case. I know Zach Bond missed 4 practices with a back injury. I know Nolan Smith missed a couple because of a concussion. But other than that, we're pretty healthy and things of that nature defensively, on the defensive side. Offensively, Landon Dickerson, he did have a meniscus injury. It's thought to be a minor injury. He's going to have a minor surgery on it and things of that nature. It's going to be considered a week-to-week thing. And the goal is in mind that, he wants to, play week 1, or that is at least the plan, at least from, per Adam Schefter and things of that nature. So major bullet dodged there and things of that nature with Landon Dickerson. I'm super glad that it's just a week-to-week thing and whatnot. And, most likely, he'll probably be back for week 1 and things of that nature. If everything goes to plan. But yeah. So yeah, other than that, what do you guys think our biggest needs are and things of that nature? And what do you think we need, or however the case, or what do you think about training camp, or the first preseason game, or if you guys think I'm missing anything, or that I should talk about, or however the case, just comment down below and I will try to either add it in my next video or try to mention it, or however the case may be. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for choosing Philly Flyover Network, where you get authentic Eagles passion you can trust. God bless you all. Philly out. Peace.